No one could believe it when a billionaire, a man with money, power, and an untouchable fortune, suddenly stopped in the middle of a crowded grocery store, all because of a poor single mom holding a carton of milk. Her name was Maya, 32 years old, a black woman whose eyes carried both exhaustion and strength. She wasn't there to buy luxury items or indulge in richness. She was there with her little boy, clutching a worn shopping list, carefully counting every coin in her hand. What happened next would shake not only the millionaire's world, but eventually capture the attention of millions across the globe. But what exactly did this rich man see that others ignored? And why did his next move become something so shocking that people still talk about it today? Before we dive deeper into this story, hit the like button and subscribe now. Here you'll find emotional, life-changing stories that will keep you inspired every single time. Maya stood in line, her boy tugging at her coat. She sighed as she looked at the milk, realizing her money wasn't enough. With a heavy heart, she whispered, "We'll return it, baby. Maybe next week." Her son nodded, too used to these sacrifices. Behind her, a man in a tailored suit, leather shoes shining like mirrors, watched silently. He was Adrian Cole, 35 years old, a billionaire who had everything: yachts, mansions, and a fortune that could buy entire companies. But in that single moment, he saw something that money couldn't explain: dignity wrapped in struggle, a richness of love in her eyes despite poverty. As Maya placed the milk back on the shelf, Adrian's chest tightened. He had signed deals worth billions without blinking, but here, watching a single mom give up something so basic, he froze. People would later ask him, "Why did you care? You didn't even know her." But Adrian himself couldn't answer at first. Something about her shook him, something deeper than all the money in his bank account. Maya left the store empty-handed, holding her son's hand tighter. Adrian followed, his mind racing. Could he approach her without seeming strange? Could he, a man known for richness and luxury, really step into the life of someone who had nothing? He hesitated, but destiny was already writing a story bigger than either of them could imagine. Outside, the cold air brushed against Maya's tired face. She whispered, "Don't worry, sweetheart. We'll be okay." At that moment, Adrian stepped closer, his voice unsure yet steady. "Excuse me. I think you dropped something." Maya turned, confused. She hadn't dropped anything. That's when she saw the billionaire's eyes that didn't carry arrogance, but curiosity and something she couldn't name yet. And in that exact second, the universe shifted. A billionaire and a poor single mom stood on the same sidewalk, worlds apart, yet fate had just placed them on a collision course that would change both of their lives forever. But what could possibly connect a woman returning milk and a man surrounded by fortune? What was Adrian planning to do, and why would it soon shock the entire world? Adrian opened his hand, revealing not something Maya had lost, but something she could never have expected. Maya froze, her son's small hand tightening in hers as she looked at the stranger standing before her. Adrian Cole, though she didn't yet know his name, extended his hand toward her. Resting in his palm was not something she had dropped, but a folded bill, crisp green and unmistakably real. "I think you might need this more than I do," he said softly. His words carried no arrogance, only sincerity, yet Maya's chest stiffened. She was proud, too proud to take money from a stranger, even if her stomach twisted at the thought of going home empty-handed again. She shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't take charity." Her voice was calm, but there was a fire behind her eyes, the fire of someone who had fought for dignity for far too long. Adrian didn't push. He simply nodded, slipping the bill back into his pocket. But his gaze lingered, as if this short exchange mattered far more than she understood. The little boy looked up at Adrian, his innocent eyes filled with curiosity. "Mommy, who is he?" Maya squeezed his hand tighter, whispering, "Just someone passing by." She turned to walk away, but Adrian found himself following a few steps behind, torn between respecting her privacy and a strange, unexplainable pull that told him he couldn't let her vanish into the cold evening. Money had solved every problem in his life, except the one gnawing at him now. Why did he care so deeply about this stranger? Why did watching her return a simple carton of milk make him feel more powerless than losing millions in a business deal ever could? Maya reached a worn-down bus stop, the wind biting at her thin jacket. Her son leaned against her, shivering. Adrian watched from a short distance, his heart heavy. He could summon a private driver at the snap of a finger, yet this woman had to wait in the cold for a late bus. Something inside him whispered, "Do something." And against all logic, he stepped forward once again. "Look," Adrian began, his tone careful, "I don't mean to intrude. But I couldn't help noticing back in the store. You were returning milk, weren't you?" Maya's eyes narrowed slightly, protective. "Yes." "And what of it?" Adrian swallowed. "It's just, no one should have to choose between feeding their child and affording a carton of milk. Let me help." His words hung in the air like fragile glass, threatening to shatter with her reply. Maya sighed, exhaustion painted across her face. "Do you think I haven't heard that before? People see me and assume I'm weak. But I'm not. I may not have your richness, your fortune, your whatever world you come from. But I have pride. And pride doesn't let me take money from strangers." Her voice trembled slightly, but her spirit didn't. Adrian felt something shift inside him, admiration. This wasn't a woman broken by poverty. This was a woman standing tall despite it. The bus approached, squealing brakes echoing through the night. Maya took her son's hand and stepped toward the open door. For a moment, Adrian thought she was gone forever. But then, something unexpected happened. Her little boy turned around and smiled at him, the kind of smile that carried warmth, innocence, and hope. It pierced Adrian's heart in a way no amount of money ever had. As the bus pulled away, Adrian stood frozen on the sidewalk, watching its red taillights fade into the distance. He whispered to himself, "Who is she?" He didn't know it yet, but this question would soon lead him down a path that would not only test the limits of his fortune, but also his heart. Because sometimes, the richest lessons come not from wealth, but from the struggles of those who have nothing yet live as though they own the world. Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, making a call that would set off a chain of events Maya could never have imagined. Adrian Cole stood on that lonely sidewalk, phone pressed to his ear, as the city lights flickered around him. For a man who had negotiated billion-dollar contracts and signed checks larger than most people's lifetime earnings, he had never felt so unsettled. "Find her," he instructed his driver, his tone low but firm. "The woman who just boarded the number 12 bus from Brookfield Market. I don't care what it takes. I need to know her name." On the other end, his assistant hesitated. Adrian wasn't known for personal requests. His world revolved around numbers, money, investments, and expansion. But tonight, he was chasing something money couldn't buy, a connection. He didn't know why, but the image of the young boy's smile and Maya's proud refusal wouldn't leave his mind. It was as if the richest lesson of his life had just walked onto that bus, and he wasn't ready to let it disappear. Meanwhile, Maya sat quietly with her son on the bus, the dim lights humming above them. Her little boy leaned against her shoulder, whispering, "Mom, he seemed nice." She smiled faintly, but shook her head. "People with money don't see us, sweetheart. They see what we represent, a burden, a charity case. But we're not that. We're stronger than they think." Her son's eyes glimmered with curiosity. But what if he's different? Maya had no answer. She only pulled him closer, praying that tomorrow would bring enough strength for another day of work, another day of holding everything together with nothing but love. Adrian couldn't sleep that night. In his penthouse, surrounded by richness, marble floors, chandeliers, and walls of glass overlooking the city, he felt an emptiness money could never fill. He poured himself a drink, staring at the skyline. "Why her?" he muttered. He had met models, actresses, powerful CEOs, all drawn to his fortune. Yet none of them had made him feel this fire, this urgency. Maya didn't even want his money. That was what made her unforgettable. She was different. She had dignity, a richness of soul he had never encountered in boardrooms or lavish galas. The next morning, Adrian's assistant called back. "We found her. Name's Maya Thompson. 32. Lives in a small apartment on the east side with her son. Works 2 jobs, cleaning offices at night and serving tables during the day." Adrian felt his chest tighten. A single mom working endless hours, fighting to keep her son's world stable, while he lived in abundance. It wasn't pity he felt, it was admiration, and a deep pull he couldn't explain. "Set up a meeting," he ordered. "But not business. I'll handle it." His assistant stammered, "Sir, she may not." Adrian cut in, "She will. She has to." Later that day, Maya was wiping down tables at the diner where she worked when a sleek black car stopped outside. Heads turned as a tall man in an expensive suit stepped in. Her heart skipped. It was him. "What are you doing here?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. Adrian offered a small smile. "Having breakfast, and maybe a conversation, if you'll allow it." She hesitated, torn between suspicion and curiosity. The other waitresses whispered, recognizing the billionaire sitting at a corner booth. Maya approached cautiously, setting down a glass of water. "Why me?" she asked bluntly. Adrian looked at her, his gaze unwavering. "Because you made me see something money never could. And I can't ignore that." His words landed heavy in the small diner, leaving Maya speechless. Just then, Maya's boss walked out, glaring at Adrian, and what he said next left everyone in the diner stunned. The diner grew silent as Maya's boss, a stout man with a stern face, folded his arms across his chest. "Mr. Cole," he said with a smirk that carried both awe and disbelief, "what's a billionaire doing in a place like this?" Whispers ran through the room. Richness had just walked into their humble corner of the city, and everyone knew it. Adrian didn't flinch. He leaned back in his booth, calm and unbothered, while Maya stood frozen, unsure of what her worlds colliding like this would mean. Her boss turned to her, his voice sharp. "Maya, don't waste his time. People like him don't sit with people like us." His words stabbed deep, but before Maya could reply, Adrian spoke firmly, "Actually, I came here for her." The diner gasped. Maya's cheeks burned, her pride caught between embarrassment and disbelief. Her boss scoffed, shaking his head. "You think a man with money, with fortune, with a millionaire lifestyle, really cares about a waitress scraping by?" The words echoed louder than the clinking of silverware. Maya's son, who had been coloring quietly in the corner, looked up with wide eyes, sensing the tension. Adrian leaned forward, his tone sharper than steel. "You're wrong. You see a waitress. I see strength, resilience, and someone who's richer in character than most millionaires I've ever met." Gasps rippled again through the diner. Maya's chest tightened, not knowing whether to feel grateful or terrified of what attention like this could bring. Her boss muttered under his breath, then stormed away, leaving behind an awkward silence. Maya looked at Adrian, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." Adrian's gaze softened. "That's what I'm trying to change. Let me take you and your son to dinner tonight. Not as a billionaire, just as a man who wants to know the woman who returned milk because her heart put her child first." Maya hesitated. Every instinct screamed to say no. She had lived long enough to know that rich men often came with strings attached, and she refused to be anyone's charity case or fleeting story. But then she looked at her son. His hopeful little eyes sparkled at the idea of going somewhere special, even just once. "Mommy," he whispered, "maybe it won't be so bad." Maya closed her eyes, exhaling a shaky breath. "One dinner," she said finally. "That's all." That evening, Adrian sent a modest car to pick them up. No limousine, no flashy display. When Maya and her son entered the restaurant, they were met not with cold stares but with warm smiles. Adrian had chosen carefully, a cozy place with soft lights, one that felt safe, not intimidating. He stood as they walked in, his smile genuine. "You look beautiful," he said, and Maya almost laughed, glancing down at her simple dress. Yet the sincerity in his tone made her cheeks flush. Dinner began quietly. Maya's son chattered happily about school, and Adrian listened intently, as though every word mattered more than any millionaire's boardroom deal. Maya studied him carefully, searching for cracks, waiting for arrogance to reveal itself. But instead, she saw patience, humility, and a surprising tenderness that didn't match the image of the billionaire she had pictured. Still, doubt lingered in her heart. What did he really want? As dessert arrived, Adrian leaned closer, his voice low but steady. "Maya, I don't want to buy your trust. I want to earn it. You've lived a life money can't touch, and I want to learn from you." His words pierced through her walls, shaking something deep inside her. But before she could reply, the waiter approached with an envelope. Adrian frowned, clearly not expecting it. He opened it slowly, and his face went pale. Maya leaned forward, whispering, "What is it?" Adrian's eyes lifted to hers, filled with shock. "It's about you, and I don't understand how they know." The air around their table thickened as Adrian unfolded the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a single sheet of paper, neatly typed, with a name printed at the top, Maya Thompson. His eyes darted across the page, her address, her place of work, even her son's school. The paper wasn't just information, it was surveillance. Someone had gone out of their way to gather details about her life, and they had chosen this exact dinner to reveal it. Maya's brows furrowed. "Why does it have my name?" she asked, her voice trembling. Adrian's grip on the paper tightened. "Because someone wants me to know everything about you. And that scares me." Maya's chest tightened, fear flooding her veins. She had lived in the shadows of debt collectors, overdue bills, and the cruel whispers of people who judged her for being a single mom. But this was different. Someone powerful had taken an interest in her, and she didn't know if it was because of Adrian or in spite of him. She reached for the paper, but Adrian pulled it away gently. "No. Let me handle this," he said firmly, his tone carrying the weight of a man used to protecting what mattered. Yet this time, it wasn't about his money, his investments, or his business empire. It was about her. "Why would anyone care about me?" Maya whispered, her voice cracking. Her son looked between them, sensing the tension. Adrian leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Because you've caught the attention of someone who never wanted to be seen with people outside of money and fortune. And I think they want to stop me from seeing you again." His words sent a chill down her spine. "You mean, this is about you?" she asked. Adrian nodded grimly. "In my world, every move I make is watched. Every friendship, every relationship. People are threatened when I care about something real, something money can't buy." The waiter hovered nervously, but Adrian waved him away. He reached across the table, his hand brushing against Maya's. "I know this is frightening. But please, don't let this scare you away. You're not a pawn in their game. You're the only person who's made me feel human again." Maya's heart raced. His words were disarming, almost too much to take in. She wanted to believe him, but years of disappointment had taught her to question promises, especially from rich men with lives she could never touch. Her son tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, are we in trouble?" Maya forced a smile, stroking his hair. "No, baby. We're okay." But her eyes betrayed her fear. Adrian watched her, admiration swelling. Here was a woman with nothing, no luxury, no safety net, yet she shielded her child with the strength of a queen. He thought of all the millionaires and business partners he had met, people obsessed with fortune, with richness, yet none carried the quiet power that Maya did. Adrian folded the paper, sliding it into his pocket. "I'll protect you. Whatever this is, whoever sent it, they'll have to go through me first." His tone was firm, but Maya's doubts remained. Why would a billionaire fight for her, a poor single mom who could barely afford milk? Why risk his reputation, his empire, his carefully built image? As they left the restaurant, the night felt colder, sharper. A sleek black car idled at the curb, different from the one that had picked them up earlier. Adrian's driver rushed forward nervously. "Sir, that car, it's been following us since you arrived." Maya froze, clutching her son's hand. Adrian's jaw tightened. "Get them home safely," he ordered his driver, his voice like steel. Then he turned to Maya, locking eyes with her. "This isn't over. I'll find out who's behind this." As the driver pulled away with Maya and her son, she glanced out the window, and saw a shadowed figure in the other car holding the same envelope with her name on it. The shadowed car followed at a careful distance, its headlights dim, never losing sight of Maya's bus-like ride home. Inside, she held her son close, heart pounding with a fear she couldn't explain. Why her? Why would anyone waste their time spying on a poor single mom who had nothing? No money, no fortune, nothing worth stealing except the love she gave her child. But deep down, she knew this wasn't about her poverty. This was about Adrian Cole, the billionaire who had, for reasons she didn't yet understand, chosen to step into her life. Adrian didn't go home that night. Instead, he stormed into his glass office tower, summoning his closest advisor. He slammed the envelope onto the mahogany table. "Find out who's behind this," he demanded. His advisor scanned the page, his expression darkening. "This isn't random, Adrian. Someone with power is sending a message. They're warning you." Adrian's jaw clenched. "Warning me to stay away from her." Meanwhile, in her modest apartment, Maya tucked her son into bed. The walls were thin, the heater rattled, but she wrapped him in blankets and whispered, "You're safe, baby. Mommy's here." Once he drifted off, she sat by the window, staring at the street below. Her thoughts tangled like threads she couldn't untie. Why would a rich man risk his reputation for her? And more importantly, what would happen to her and her boy if she let him? The next morning, a knock rattled her door. Maya hesitated, fear rushing through her. Slowly, she opened it, and gasped. Adrian stood there, holding 2 paper bags filled with groceries. "I didn't know what you liked," he said gently, "so I got everything." Maya blinked, stunned. "Why are you here?" Adrian's answer was simple. "Because I promised I wouldn't let fear chase you away." They sat at her tiny kitchen table, the sound of her son's laughter filling the room as he explored the grocery bags. For a brief moment, the world outside faded. Adrian told her stories of growing up rich, but feeling lonely, suffocated by a life where money dictated every decision. "I've had fortune since birth," he admitted, "but I've never felt richness in my heart until now." Maya listened, torn between disbelief and the undeniable sincerity in his eyes. But just as warmth began to melt her walls, a knock came again, louder, sharper. Maya froze. Adrian stood, opening the door with caution. On the other side stood a woman, poised, elegant, draped in luxury. Her diamond necklace glittered under the hallway light. She smirked, her voice dripping with disdain. "So it's true. The billionaire is wasting his time on a waitress." Maya's stomach dropped. She didn't know this woman, but she knew her type, the world of wealth and arrogance she had always been kept out of. Adrian's face hardened. "What are you doing here, Vanessa?" he demanded. Maya's chest tightened at the name. Vanessa, his former fiancée, a woman from the same circle of fortune and excess Adrian had spent his life in. Vanessa's eyes flicked to Maya with cold judgment. "Do you really think you can replace me with her? She doesn't belong in our world. And you know it." Maya's heart sank, anger battling with humiliation. She wanted to scream, to defend her worth, but words stuck in her throat. Adrian's voice cut through the tension. "You're wrong. She's the only one who belongs with me. Because she's real." His declaration left Vanessa speechless, but her eyes burned with fury. She stepped closer, her voice venomous. "Then you'd better prepare to lose everything, Adrian. Money deals fortune, because the world won't forgive this." Vanessa's heels clicked against the floor as she stormed out, leaving Maya trembling. She turned to Adrian, her voice breaking. "Is this what my life will be if I stay near you? People threatening us, judging us, tearing us apart." Maya's words hung in the air like heavy chains. Her voice trembled with fear, but her eyes burned with honesty. "Is this what my life will be if I stay near you? People threatening us, judging us, tearing us apart." For a moment, silence filled the small apartment, broken only by the faint hum of the heater. Adrian's chest rose and fell as he looked at her, not as the billionaire everyone else saw, but as a man fighting the one battle money could never win. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Yes," he admitted. "There will be whispers. There will be eyes watching us. And there will be people who try to use my fortune, my name, against us. But there's one thing they can never touch, what I feel for you. And I'd rather lose every dollar, every deal, every piece of my fortune than lose you." Maya blinked, her throat tightening. She wanted to believe him, but the memory of Vanessa's venomous words echoed in her mind. She doesn't belong. The truth was undeniable. Maya was a single mom living paycheck to paycheck, returning milk because she couldn't afford it. Adrian was a billionaire with private jets and boardroom power. Their worlds were not just different, they were galaxies apart. She turned away, whispering, "You don't know what you're asking of me. I fought too hard just to stand on my own. I can't risk my son's stability for dreams I don't believe in." Adrian walked to the small window, staring at the worn-down street below. "Maya, all my life I've been surrounded by people who only wanted me for what I could give them. They saw money, fortune, and deals, not me. You're the first person who ever said no. Do you realize how powerful that was? You made me feel free." He turned back, eyes glistening. "I don't want you to give up your pride. I want to give you the life you deserve without taking away who you are." Her son shuffled sleepily into the room, rubbing his eyes. "Mommy? Are we okay?" Maya bent down, holding him tightly. "Yes, baby. We're okay." But as she hugged him, her own tears slipped free. She wasn't sure if she was crying from fear, hope, or both. Adrian knelt beside them, his voice soft but steady. "He deserves a future filled with more than just survival. And you deserve to know what it feels like to never worry about milk again." His hand brushed against hers, trembling not from nerves but from the weight of what he was about to do. Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black box. Maya's breath caught. Her heart thundered as he opened it, revealing not just a diamond ring but a symbol of everything she had tried to convince herself was impossible. The diamond sparkled, but what struck her most wasn't its richness, it was the vulnerability in Adrian's eyes. "Maya Thompson," he said, his voice breaking. "I don't want to save you. I don't want to change you. I just want to walk beside you. Will you marry me?" The world seemed to stop. Maya's son looked at her with wide, hopeful eyes, whispering, "Say yes, Mommy." Her knees wobbled as a storm of doubt swirled inside her. Could she step into his world without losing herself? Could she protect her son from the judgments of people like Vanessa? Yet deep down, a small, steady voice answered her fears. Love wasn't about money or fortune. Love was about choice. And Adrian was giving her the choice to be more than just a struggling single mom. He was giving her the chance to be loved for exactly who she was. Maya lifted her trembling hand to her lips, tears streaming freely now. "Adrian," she whispered, "I don't care about the money. I don't care about the fortune. All I've ever wanted is a partner who sees me. And you do." Slowly, she nodded, her voice steady through the tears. "Yes. Yes, I'll marry you." Her son squealed with joy, wrapping his little arms around both of them as Adrian slipped the ring onto her finger. In that tiny apartment, surrounded by cracked walls and worn-out furniture, they created a moment richer than any millionaire's gala, brighter than any chandelier in Adrian's penthouse. It wasn't wealth that bound them together, it was love, real and unshakable. The next morning, headlines erupted. Billionaire engaged to single mom who returned milk. Critics scoffed, rivals whispered, but the world watched in awe. For the first time, Adrian Cole wasn't in the news for a business deal or an expansion of his empire. He was in the news for choosing love over image, compassion over pride, humanity over money. And while some judged, millions around the world felt inspired. Because if a billionaire could see the worth in a woman the world overlooked, maybe there was hope for love, kindness, and second chances everywhere. As Maya stood by his side, holding her son's hand, she whispered to Adrian, "You shocked the world." Adrian smiled, leaning close. "No. You did." Adrian's and Maya's story didn't erase struggles or silence critics. But it lit a fire of hope, proving that true richness comes not from money or fortune, but from hearts brave enough to love across worlds. If you enjoyed this story, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video and tell us in the comments, what part of this journey moved you the most? There's another story waiting for you, and I'm sure it will change the way you see the world. Thank you for watching, see you soon.